I'm Pamela Mar, and we're here at Commodities Trading Week Europe. And today we're talking about the launch of the ICC Digital Standards Initiative Key Trade Documents and Data Elements Final Output, which is an integrated framework for digitalizing the entire supply chain end-to-end. And this forms the basis for achieving the integrated, harmonized, digitalized trade ecosystem, which the ICC Digital Standards Initiative has been working very hard towards. I'm joined here by the chairmanship of the Industry Advisory Board of the DSI. Stephan Wolf is chair of the IAB, and Robert Beideman is vice chair. They both have day jobs. Stephan is the head of GLIFE. Robert works for GS1. And Robert has actually led the working group, incorporating over 50 organizations to produce this piece of analysis and guide on how to digitalize the global supply chain on the road to interoperability. Robert, can you tell us, what is the breakthrough element here? What do you hope we do with this?
What we did that was special here is we took the whole landscape of trade, and we took every one of those data, those documents, we broke them down into their core data elements, and we realized a couple of foundational things. There's a drive for standardization of electronic documentation. We know there's this need for legislative and regulatory support. We discovered that there is a need for industry convergence and engagement, and that's happening in some places. But also there's this need for adoption at scale where digitalization takes place cross-border. Mm-hmm. And of the 36 documents that we analyzed, we got it down to about these 200 data elements that were across all these documents, 50 of which were really shared broadly across these documents. And I think that's the breakthrough, because that let us put this framework together in a way that anyone, no matter who you are, you can pick this piece of work up, see yourself in it, and figure out what to do next. What are those next steps for you? Hopefully along your own journey toward digitalization of trade. So that's the breakthrough movement.
And we have made this accessible on digitalizedtrade.org, the cross-border paperless trade database, where you can actually search for any document, any data element, or any stakeholder role, and figure out what is your traceability map in the supply chain.
Yeah, and in fact there's three distinct pieces of collateral. There's the report, which is in itself a very interesting piece of work. There's a deeper dive into each of those documents. And in each of those, we talk about the standards that are in place, if there's more than one, if there are any conflicts between them, what those documents are intended for, their level of digital adoption globally, and really the next steps per document that people can really take. And then there's a glossary. That's the third piece. That's another interactive piece that allows people, as you were saying, to visualize any one document, where it's relevant across the trade journey, really no matter who you are.
Okay, so Blueprint's great. What about adoption? I'm turned to Stephan as the chair of the IAB to tell us, what does the IAB intend to do about driving adoption? And what gives us kind of a higher success rate than previous efforts to drive adoption on digitalization?
First of all, we have to admit that we're all using computers already, and there are lots of standards out there. So I was really happy with the work that the team conducted under Robert's work, because they looked into all the standards and sometimes even found competing standards. Mm-hmm. And someone has to make a recommendation on how to deal with that. So that for me is a foundational, if you like, layer for going to machine-readable data. But this is just the beginning of the journey. We need to think about how this is all embedded in processes. We need to think about how this can be used in cross-platform, cross-border, cross-everything scenarios. And that is why we need to work together with the current team, but also might want to extend the team, the Industry Advisory Board, to get more input from software vendors, from ERP vendors and others who can then help to utilize those standards and to implement them into their products. So we see a major task ahead of us for helping with the promotion of all of this.
Okay, and can you just tell us briefly, what is the link to digital identity?
which is a very good question and a very important question. When you go from paperless to digital, then you talk about computer-to-computer transaction. But who is this computer acting on behalf? Could be a fraudster, could be, you name it, right? Could be the wrong party. So you need a very strong identification scheme. And in today's language, you need digital signing of messages, digital signing of content to make sure that you have the origin authentic and the content has not been tampered with.
It's interesting to think that paper, for all of its downsides, is generally very trusted. It's got stamps on it and signatures and all kinds of other stuff that conveys trust when you share it from me to you. How do you replicate that in the digital world? And I think that's the essence of what we're talking about, because legislation, regulations, companies themselves all have to get comfortable with new ways of conveying trust between parties, and hopefully do that in increasingly consistent ways globally.
Okay, so we have the move from documents to data. We have every party transacting in the supply chain with a digital identity so that the data can be anchored to some organization, either a subject or a player. The last part is actually the agreed rules on how do you share data securely? How do you verify data? How do you authenticate data? And that is the third part of what DSI is working on towards certification and towards the assessment of systems on reliability. Any last comments on this?
Yeah, last year already we published under the DSI umbrella a document called Trust in Trade, where I had the honor to lead a team to discuss on how we can build a trustworthy environment. And funny enough, we came to the conclusion that zero trust is the answer. You should not trust, you should be able to verify every single time. And to create this, we put out, again, a document for standards and how this could be achieved with modern technology.
Thank you very much. This has been a snippet of the Digital Standards Initiative work plan for the past year and into the next year. I'm Pamela Mar, and I thank you very much for your attention.